Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Hasbanallah wa ni'ma wakil. Welcome to Johnnie's Mind. This morning, I trust that your weekend was good. Well, mine was, just a bit of challenge. The conversations about Okada riders. It's become quite a bit of a problem. And this weekend, I've had occasion to see one or two people, get hit. And it saddens my heart that we have, for example, a driving training school. Because if you go to the DVL, and the last time as I was praising what work had been done at the DVL, I'm told it started during the Mahama era, dovetailed now into this era. Mr. Kpebu had done a very fantastic job with his team, and Madam Mensah at the DVLA at the 37th place, and all those other outlets. Fantastic. So before you become a driver in this country, you have to go through a driving school, take a driving test, and assessment, eye test, and all of that. Do we have anything for motor riders? Because the DVLA also gives licenses to people who ride motorbikes. Does the DVLA in any way, at any time, and at any point say we have a motor riding training school? I don't think we have anything like that. So while there's an obligation on anybody who wants to ride, a vehicle, there's no obligation literally, unless I'm wrong. But there's no obligation literally on anybody. So you get a motorbike, or people usually start with bicycles, then they get a small motorbike in their neighborhood, and before you know, they start riding. But they're also road users. So as a national policy, do we need to start training people who want to ride motorbikes? I'm asking that question first. Number two, I've also seen a conversation about guns. And yesterday I was having that conversation with somebody. We keep complaining that there are too many guns in private hands. We keep complaining that, people are not renewing their licenses. When they come, they buy the guns, they renew they license them, they don't come back to renew, Do we also have a school where people can go and train if they buy a gun? A school where people can go and train to say, I now have a gun. This is the public's, space for me to go and train myself to perfect my shooting skills. Do we have that? Because if not, the gun becomes a danger to the individual holding it or the owner and the people around him. And if you have ever shot a gun before, once you shoot, there's a certain pushback effect. It could move either way. And if you are not too strong and you are not too sure about it, you don't have the right technique. So, you may cause trouble. So these are the two things that I want to use as my preamble. Number one, good morning to you, DVLA. When are we going to have a motor riding training school? National Road Safety Commission, when are we going to have motor riding training schools so that the driving schools that you have, they have a certain option for people who have motorbikes who want to also use the road or who are already using the road? Because how they get their license and how they apply the road sometimes, even though they are road users, I don't get it. Number two, to the Interior Ministry, to the Commission on Small Arms and all those responsible, I'm asking, if somebody acquires a gun today, do they have a place where they can go and train? Is it designated area? Or if somebody knows somebody within the security service, they say, oh, come to our shooting range, come and let me teach you. Or come to Bondasi, come to wherever it is. I mean, do we have those things? I'm just asking those questions because the law permits for people to use motorbikes. The law permits for people to have guns if the right assessment is done and the permit is granted. But do we have training schools for these two? That's all I'm asking this morning. But over the weekend also, and the name Martin seems to have raised a lot of eyebrows. First, there was Mr. Martin Alamisi Benskai's Amidu, who was a special prosecutor. He and Nanado had some love affair. If you like, Nanado also gave him some praises. He gave some praises and he said, he doesn't regret appointing Martin Abidu. Martin Abidu also said, Nanado gave him the best of support and all of that. But Mr. Martin Amidu had made a very strong statement, which I believe that Mr. Martin Kpebu, a private legal practitioner, and guess what? Both Martins are lawyers. Martin Kpebu is a legal practitioner. He taught me sometime in 2010, copyright law and all of that, the British Council, where we did a master class for producers and presenters, 2010. So I have known Martin Kpebu for about 12 years, maybe more. Now, Mr. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner. And Mr. Martin Alamisi Benskaz Amidu, who's also a private legal practitioner, former Attorney General, and then former Special Prosecutor. They have made 2 statements. And all of it is aimed at the president. And all of it is aimed at the Jubilee House. Guess what? Danny, pull up that Agyapa risk assessment, corruption risk assessment. You know that the Agyapa deal is being packaged to be brought back. Now, this report, okay, it says report on the analysis of the risk of corruption and anti-corruption risk assessment of the processes leading up to the request for approval and approval of the transaction agreement and tax exemptions granted by Parliament thereunder in relation to the gold royalties monetization transaction under the Minerals Income Investment Fund Act 2018, Act 978, and other related matters thereto. Now, this is published by Martin Alamisi Benskaz, I'm the Special Prosecutor, Office of the Special Prosecutor, Yatrobi Road, Laboni, Accra, dated 15 October 2020. Then we have to go to the conclusion. Look for it for me. In this report, Mr. Martin Benskaz Amidu, Alamisi Benskaz Amidu, he mentioned that the president is the mother serpent of all corruption, and that he doesn't see the president's willingness to fight corruption today or even in the future. It's in this report. I remember vividly that the presidency had a back and forth with Mr. Amidu when he published this 67-page, a 44-paragraph response was written from the Jubilee House, signed by the secretary to the president, also a lawyer, Nana Santibediye to him. Subsequently, Mr. Johnnie came and said, oh, that is the last response they are going to give. And I think he also wrote a response. That's the last response they are going to give. And the explanation was that they had an election to win. And then after the election, they will respond appropriately. This is 15th October 2020. We are in 2022. We're getting closer to October. A proper response on the things that have been said here in this report have not been issued. But Agyapa has been packaged again. No apology has been rendered. Nobody has been held before the courts, even for the infractions of law. The infractions of law stated in this particular document. And it's too bulky, so I can't read everything. I'll read a portion of it for you. But the infractions of law perpetuated under this Agyapa deal, transaction advisory, all of those ones, the Minister of State and the Finance Minister are stepping his boundaries, the chief director there, all of those conversations have not been dealt with. But Agyapa is being repackaged to be given back to the people. And I'm suggesting to you that in this report, the man that the president reposed confidence in, because the office of the special prosecutor was a big deal for the 2016 elections, was a big deal that when we come, we'll have office of the special prosecutor, we'll use the NAS principle, it will help us fight corruption, yada, 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 yada. The office of the special prosecutor couldn't prosecute one case. Martin Amidu, he couldn't prosecute one case. When he was leaving, he said he didn't have the needed support. Even though the president has supported him, he was complaining, literally. And he chickened out. In this report, he said the president is the mother serpent of all corruption. And that he doesn't believe that the president can fight corruption today or in the future. Now, what is the mother serpent of all corruption? In the serpental world, the mother serpent is in the den. It doesn't go anywhere. The small serpents go out, they go and collect stuff, and they bring it, and the mother serpent takes a portion of it. A very serious allegation by somebody that the president had reposed confidence in, the whole party machinery government had reposed confidence in, supposed to have come from the other side of the political divide, and who had served as, if you will, an attorney general for a very long time, and he had been brought in, so he had the experience, he had the capacity, he had the eye, he had the energy. In fact, even the Supreme Court, when people went to court to challenge Martin Amidu's age in terms of his qualification for that post, the Supreme Court granted and said Martin Amidu is qualified to be in that position. But Martin Amidu couldn't prosecute one person. I may be wrong. If there's evidence, bring it. The name of the game is evidence. I'm saying that in this one, he called the president the mother serpent of all corruption, the chief collaborator of all corruption in this country. The Jubilee House has failed to vindicate the president. And you know, the president, there's the Pius Hajide visa corruption case There's a PDS scandal, name it. The boss fuel scandal, name it. Too many of them. In fact, under this regime, there are national security officers, there are BNI officers, there are police, there are military at Tema Oil Refinery. But wires, cables got missing. The security there, 247. Cables, that's a security installation, and cables got missing. Tore themselves route. They can't find it. Today, nobody has been prosecuted. So, Martin Amidu said the president is the mother serpent of all corruption. Today, as we speak, the presidency has not appropriately responded to it. And that's where the problem is. Then he play Martin Kpebu's video for me. He spoke on News File, on Joy. Play his video for me, what he had also said. I'm playing the tale of the Martins. Martin Alamisi Ben Kaiser Amidu, private legal practitioner, former Deputy Attorney General, former Special Prosecutor, and Martin Kpebu, private citizen, legal practitioner, and also somebody who said he voted for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He reposed a lot of confidence in him. He is stoned.
So what should we do beyond this survey?
Before we go beyond the survey, the first thing is, I think so far the president probably hasn't heard. Maybe we need to repeat it more forceful for him to hear that he's part of the criminal syndicate at the Jubilee House. The president is certainly part. Look, all this corruption cannot happen without the president's involvement. Look, you know, even Manasseh did this thing about Zoom Lion, the spraying. When schools were being shut down, you know, the time of the corona, this virus, the pandemic broke, schools were being closed and we're going to come back after 3 months. What was the need for the spraying? You follow Manasseh's story, it lands on the president's desk. Other stories land on his desk, PDS and the rest. So the president, we have to say with all the energy we can master that he's part of that criminal syndicate. And that, look, we will not take this from him. He has to just step down.
Is it not the case that you are looking for swifter action, and the president will use a process that is not as swift as you want? And will that warrant and justify your saying he's a part of this
the president
criminal syndicate in the Jubilee House?
He's not interested in any process because in opposition, okay, we can Google it, I'm sure viewers know. He said he will use the Anas principle when the president was coming to office, and that's why I voted for him, okay, with alacrity. He said he was going to use the Anas principle. He wasn't going to use this adversarial system. No, Anas principle. And what's the Anas principle? Private investigations. So the president should tell you and I, how many Anas principles has he used since he came? An abysmal failure.
In fact,
so this is a 419.
In fact, Anas has become an endangered species within his regime.
Excellent.
His Anas's security has been compromised largely. Anas is one of his right-hand men has been killed.
Ahmed Swale.
And the investigations have been very slow.
Yes. Pussyfooting on the investigations, right?
But the president is not the police to do that. So is it fair to get at him the way you have done?
Oh, Sam, fair? Fair is an understatement. We've given him all the opportunities in this world to do us right, but he has refused.
That was Martin Kpebu. He's a private legal practitioner on News File, but I'm told that he has apologized. So Martin Kpebu is a lawyer. He's known to be a man of evidence. And there are so many cases in his honor, Supreme Court, Ghana Law Report. You read it, you find that this is an astute lawyer by all standards. Somebody who is very vocal, and I don't remember that he has spoken and apologized before. Is Martin Kpebu apologizing for the truth? Because Martin Amidu has not apologized for what he said. And I'm stressing that the Jubilee House has not properly responded to the claim that the president is the mother serpent of all corruption. Martin Kpebu said the president is the leader of a criminal syndicate But he has apologized. Here's the apology. He says that, well, yesterday I was a guest on Newsfile where issues including the nation-wrecking canker of corruption was discussed. This was on the back of yet another frightening survey by a collaboration of two state institutions, Chiraj and Ghana Statistical Service, revealing the endemic level of actual corruption in Ghana today. In the heat of the discussion, I passionately expressed my disgust at the inaction of the president in dealing with certain matters bordering on corruption. I do hereby retract and apologize for the expression purporting to connect the president of the republic crime. Signed, Martin Kpebu. This is what Martin Kpebu wrote. Now, is Martin Kpebu apologizing for speaking the truth? Because if you read the second paragraph, he says the endemic level of actual corruption. Then he comes back to say the corruption as it is now in this country, the reality. So what exactly is Mr. Martin Kpebu responding to? Is he responding to it because Mr. Kojo Nkrumah, who is also a lawyer and the Minister for Information, MP for Fancy Arabi, had said that he made those claims without proof? And when did Mr. Kojo Nkrumah realize this? Because in the past, John Mahama was called corrupt and incompetent. In the past, President Atta Mills, who was eulogized yesterday and the day before, was also called Professor Doolittle and was even accused that he was turning the Jubilee House into a church, the castle into a church. Today, we have a whole office in charge of religious affairs at the presidency. They pay them, their presidential staffers. Today, we have the same government building a cathedral. So now I'm saying, let the principle be one. Corruption, we all agree, is hitting us. The last week we saw the list. Ghana Police, Ghana Immigration Service, the Customs Division, we saw Prison Service, we saw Lands Commission. Top 10 state institutions that are supposed to be helping us to be living right. They are all corrupt. Immigration Service is fighting their own. They say we are not corrupt. But there's no iota of disagreement in that. Because if they say you are corrupt and you say you are not corrupt, you have to come and prove it. Today, as we speak, right now as we speak, the conversation about corruption, and today, if we had been in 2016, Mr. Konaforiata is going to Parliament. In his speech, we would have heard about corruption. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when he was campaigning for presidency, corruption was a byword. Corruption was a byword. Then he pulled that report for me, the Agyapa report. Corruption was a byword. Today. How many times do you even hear the government talking about corruption? The special prosecutor now who came to swap with Mr. Martin Amidu, senior Blaobi, he's already started complaining. So you find that those who want to fight corruption are being fought by corruption. You want to stop corruption. Corruption is fighting you and facing you. You want to fight corruption? Okay, come. I will fight you. And I'm saying that two people have made the same statement about the president. That for me is worrying. If somebody calls you a thief and you are not a thief, the president being a lawyer, you know you go every single length to clear your name. Why is the president not interested in clearing his name? Why are the people around the president not interested in the president clearing his name? But rather they are pressing people at different locations to get them to apologize. Because if you read the tone of Mr. Martin Kpebu's letter, he's admitting that maybe he got a little carried away. He got passionate. That's the word he used. And he even mentioned that he voted for the president. I mean, his vote is a secret. He shouldn't have told us. But he told us that he's voted for him, which is why you sense a bit of disappointment in him. And there are so many of them out there. People who voted for the president who are so disappointed. They believed in the Baumia Nana ticket. But they're so disappointed. Too many of them, including blue-blooded MPP people. They know what I'm talking about. Blue-blooded MPP people, they know. And when we talk about corruption, they know. And I'm saying that, why is the presidency not interested in clearing his name? Because if Nana Addo ceases to become president today, after 2025, 7 January, the tag of corruption will be on him. Now I'm saying, why is the president, the presidency, his family not interested in clearing the corruption tag? Because that was what he used as impetus to wipe out his predecessor. When two people who have an understanding of the law, who deal with evidence, come to say the same thing about you in different words, It means, and this is a public record, it says the analysis of the risk of corruption and anti-corruption assessment was expected to have been completed before the end of the month of September 2020. Unfortunately, there were some delays, particularly from the Ministry of Finance, which submitted the requisite information documents piecemeal. The last 2 letters submitted information documents from the Ministry of Finance were delivered to the registry of this office on the 13th of October. Report was published on the 15th of October. This office has been able to complete the analysis of the risk corruption and anti-corruption assessment of the transaction document. Remember that also in this document, Martin Amidu mentioned the Airbus scandal. That was not part of the scope of work, but he mentioned the Airbus scandal. And you know how the government used it against John Mahama and Adam Mahama. There was even an Interpol red alert on a certain Adam Mahama to be arrested. Today, has Adam Mahama been arrested? That's why I'm asking the question, that when you call somebody corrupt, and then the person tries to clear himself and say, oh, he's corrupt, and then they call you corrupt, and you are not even bothered to even speak up to say, I'm not corrupt. Assembly war. Martin Amidu says the president is the leader of a criminal syndicate. He has apologized. And I'm asking Martin Kpebu this morning, what exactly is he apologizing for? Did he speak wrong? And if he spoke wrong, there are laws in this country that when you speak what is untrue about somebody, the person has the right to take you on. Mind you, there was somebody who said something about the first lady on a private radio station, right? It took a state institution to get involved because it was not a criminal matter, it was a civil matter, but the state institution got involved. They picked the individual up and they put him behind bars. You remember that? Not so long ago. So if Martin Kpebu has said something that is false about the president, where is the security this time round? And why is the president not pressing charges? Because it is this same president who, when Kwesi Nyantechi mentioned that the president is in his pocket, he alerted the police CID to go and effect the arrest. You remember that? Let the principle be one. In the Kwesi Nyantechi case, the president said he had told the police to take action. In the first lady's case, the security themselves took action. And if somebody slanders you or libels you, you have the right, the court and the laws, to clear your name, to press charges. So in this particular case, Martin Amidu has spoken, Martin Kpebu has spoken. Why is the president silent? Is the president really corrupt? Is he the mother serpent of all corruption? Is he the leader of a criminal syndicate? Or is he not? This one is not the battle, it's the Lord's. This one is about clear your name and be clean as a whistle. And let your legacy be the one that speaks for you. You challenge somebody about corruption tag, you cannot leave government with a corruption tag. Mr. President, show working. Good morning.